Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everybody to the call. Today is our monthly AMA. If there's anything I can help you with, let me know in the chat. There's only a couple of you guys here signed on today. So the length and participation today is going to depend on you guys, right? As usual with the AMAs. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. Let me know in the chat. If not, we'll just hang out here together. It's wish I could turn my desk since it's on wheels and show you guys, but I'm in South Florida on the coast, West Palm Beach, just north of there, about 10 miles. It's storming crazy right now. So hopefully we keep power. We don't have any power or Wi-Fi interruptions. Welcome, Brian. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, Tim. Hope you're doing well as well. Just a couple minutes here past the top of the hour. Welcome to the AMA. If you guys have any questions, do me a favor. Let me know in the chat. Here to help you guys out. That's what these calls are for. Brian Saviano, I'm going to pick on you, brother. Anything I can help you out with? Hey, hello, first off. Tim Frechette, welcome to the call. Anything I can help you out with? Let me know. There's no slides or anything. No, I don't have any. Let me know how I can help you guys just in the questions box there. You guys can watch me dance around, do a little jig. I don't know what else to do if we ain't got any questions. I can make it really, really socially awkward so that you guys have to ask me questions in the chat. How about that, Tim? I can just make it super awkward, like, you know, you guys don't want me dancing, I'll tell you that much. Brian, nothing at the top of my mind yet. So Brian, what are you working on in your business right now? Prospecting, sales, fulfillment, what's the challenge? Tim says, working on setting up the PI program. So he's doing outreach to personal injury attorneys offering an audit. So Tim says, how many emails should I send before looking at tweaking them? That's a great question. So good job, Tim. So you should be looking at getting, I would say at minimum, a 20% open rate on the one email send, right? If you're only sending one without any follow-ups, 20% on that first email, and you should be looking at 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 to respond. Are some baseline like starter metrics, Tim, to iterate with. As you continue to progress with that, the money, man, in my experience, is going to be in the follow-up. But you're not ready to like automate it yet and go all crazy. But if email number 1 is getting a 20% open rate, for example, by the end of the sequence, and I've done this with like all of my outreach sequences, I'm able to get like a 70 to 75% open rate across multiple follow-ups. So, but before you automate it, before you start crazily testing as well, I would say send out a handful. You're looking for 20% opens and about 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 to respond. So I would say get out 50, probably a batch of 50, and see how it responds, and then start iterating from there. So let's see, what would the math be there? If you're getting a 20% response rate on 50 or open rate, you got 10 opens. Yeah, I mean, you should get then a good response from there, 1 in 3, 1 in 4. So you should get a couple people saying yes or wanting to have conversations with you. Hope that makes sense. Tim says, how long did it take you to warm up your domain? So that's a good question. I think that there's 2 things to think about. There's how many emails does it take to warm up your domain? But then there's also like what's a realistic time frame in terms of weeks or days or month, like actual period of time. So for me, I've never had a problem really, besides, I guess, once you could say, with emails ending up in spam because I'm always very cautious on scaling up over time. So if we're sending out, let's say, in batches of 50, so 50 new prospects in a day, and we also send follow-up emails, we're getting multiple responses and yeses and opportunities in a day. So you can see very quickly why you don't need a lot of prospects and you don't need to send a lot of mail to really scale, right? Tim, I don't know how big your operation is or how many appointments you're looking for in a day, right? But if you're sending 50 and over time you're getting a 70% open rate and you're getting 1 or 3 or 1 in 4 to respond, think about those stats. They're pretty crazy, right? So you don't necessarily need to scale really high. I think that the key to scale with cold outreach is actually not the number of contacts, it's the number of total emails, right? And what I really mean by that is the fortune is made in the follow-up, right? Again, over time, you can get a 70, 75% open rate, but on your first one, you're probably going to get like a 20, 25% after you split test it. You got to send the other emails as part of the series. So I know that didn't directly answer your question, but I want to give you context to what's really important and what you should really be thinking about in your head. So until you got kind of those baseline metrics, you got 20 to 25% open, and then you got a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 getting a response rate. Tim, I wouldn't worry about automating any of the follow-up or implementing any crazy split testing or any of that stuff. Just work on the core. Once you got that solved, man, don't just go nuts on the volume then. Because here's what happens, right? Once you start sending, let's say that you send a prospect an email follow-up 2 days later if they didn't respond, and then 3 days after that if they don't respond, and 2 days after that if they don't respond. That would be like a typical follow-up sequence. We just added 3 more emails. So if we're starting and we're sending 50 emails a day, right? And then we start adding that follow-up, you're gonna start sending a boatload of emails. So a lot of people, as soon as they get the follow-ups automated in a system like I use QuickMail, they get those emails automated and they start going out. They don't really think of scaling in terms of total emails going out. Instead, they think of how many total prospects. And so where I see most people fail and kind of fall down and hurt themselves is they find a message that starts to work, they put in the follow-ups, and then they change from outreaching to a smaller group of people, let's say 50 people in a day, to scaling to 200 people in a day. But what's really happening is most of those people aren't going to respond and they're going to get multiple follow-ups. So then you're really sending something more like 800, 600, or 1,000 a day over time with the follow-up. So I wouldn't be concerned about scaling contacts. Instead, think about scaling with follow-up. And I think as long as you do that mindset-wise, you'll be good. Other generalities, make the inbox look good. And what I mean by that is make it look active, like it's not just for outreach, right? If it's all outreach, it's all cold email, and it's all automated too, it just doesn't look great to Google. So join some lists, right? Opt into them, get some email, use it for some personal email if you can. Just make it have some normal usage signals, if you will. Tim, let me know if that helped. And maybe that brought up some follow-up questions as well. So for everybody that just joined, we only have a handful of people here today. I don't think GoTo sending out notifications correctly. We got like, 2,500 people or something registered for the webinar, and there's only a handful of people here. So today is uber dependent on you guys. Uber dependent on you guys asking questions. I'm happy to give you guys any help that I can. So ask away. Welcome, Austin. Welcome, Carolyn. Good to see you, Carolyn. Scott Dom, Steve Durr. Welcome, welcome. Ask away, and hopefully saying earlier, hopefully I don't lose power. It's storming like crazy outside. It's 3 p.m. and it's literally pitch black outside. So, all right, Tim, I see you got a couple more messages. Tim says, do you follow the open rates with a phone call? Okay, so most people are lazy and most people are scared of the phone. So do you follow up the opens with a phone call? Is best practice to do that? Yes, 100%. Do most people do that? No. Some of the easiest appointment bookings that you'll ever get is with a phone call, right? And so, Tim, usually what I look for in that is not just one open, but looking at multiple opens, right? So 2+ opens, for example, as long as the platform that you're looking at is reporting correctly. If you see that it's weird that like everybody's getting 2, then maybe I'd up it to 3+ opens. Just depends on how your platform is reporting it. But here's the thing, if somebody has looked at my email more than once, that means that they looked at it, they glanced at it, they walked away, and they came back and went, oh yeah, I was reading that really interesting email Joe sent me, and they pull it back up again. That's a hot prospect, right? So for those people, I definitely reach out to over the phone. And with those, it's really, really simple to get past the gatekeeper. You know the person's name, right? Because you sent them an email, right? And you can literally just blow right through the gatekeeper. And I literally do blow right through the gatekeeper, right? Yeah, hey Charlotte, yep, it's Joe Troyer, and Tom was just looking at my email, and I figured it would just be so much easier if I just give him a call real quick. Can you pass me through? Yeah, tell him Joe's on hold. That's it, right? Like, that's a script that you guys can use, and if you say it with authority, right, tell him Joe's on hold. You say that with authority, you're gonna get through the gatekeeper, and we've tested this 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 times. Super, super simple. Hopefully that helps, Tim. Let's see. Yeah, keep the emails going and stay in their grill. Oh man, speaking of grill, making me hungry, man. Tim, I just pulled off a brisket a couple of hours ago. I got a smoker. I am obsessed, absolutely obsessed. Never thought I would be. I've always liked barbecue, but never thought I would be one of those guys talking about their smokers. But I just pulled off a 13-pound brisket, and it's like literally melted in my mouth. So you're getting me all dazed and confused talking about their grill. Austin says, what do you think? What's up, Austin Lawrence? Good to see you, brother. What do you think right now about the ADA compliance as a foot in the door right now? I think ADA compliance is really interesting, right? I think the way I would think about it as a prospecting method or message, though, is it important to my audience, or can I make a claim or a statement that would make my audience immediately react, right? And I don't know who you're going after and what they think about ADA compliance, but to be honest, like the niches that I target, I think I'd have a problem getting their attention. So for those of you guys that have been following me for a long time, you know that I primarily go after the home services industries. And the reason is I can kind of chest to chest talk to them, rationalize with them. I can get them a job today. Usually the sales cycles are fast, and I can get them jobs really, really quick, and then they get money out the other end so that they can continue to pay me. And I find that the prospecting and the service cycles are faster. I seem to do better as a salesperson and also an account manager dealing with blue collar types of verticals. Not saying that you can't crush it in white collar. We got tons of people at Invisible PPC, right, that just destroy it. Right now, we're doing a bunch of stuff with personal injury attorneys, and we are having people absolutely murder it. Should I say murder it? I don't know. That sounds really awful. Doing really, really well, getting a boatload of audits in the door. And once they get the audit, then we're able to help them show missed opportunities, right? And how much money they're blowing and wasting. That's leading to lots of demos on how we can manage their accounts and lots of sales. If I have to be the guy, though, doing the sale and the account management, you guys know me, I'm going to lean towards blue collar all day versus white collar. And I can tell you, Austin, that I don't think that an HVAC guy, a plumber, a roofer, a garage door company, that if you hit them with a pitch for ADA compliance, that they're going to be really interested. But if you can hit them with, here's an example of how an HVAC business just got a fine for ADA compliance, right? And I'll help you fix it. That kind of brings the point home, right? Then it's interesting. The thing is, can you land a message that's going to be interesting to your niche? I hope that makes sense. I think more white collar niches too would be interested in probably ADA, right? Be more educated probably about the topic, but that's just, again, kind of my interpretation. Carolyn says, hey, Joe, good to see you, good to see you. Brian says, why don't you include retargeting with PPC on the initial call? Brian, give me some context in terms of what you mean by that. Not sure that I understand your question. So give me a little more context, man, and I'm happy to answer. I don't know if you're talking about like how we're pitching PIs and the packaging, or we do lots of training, right? I have done lots of training. I have quite the archive, doing new training all the time. I want to make sure that I understand contextually what you're actually asking, and happy to help. Tim says, looking at your Florida weather radar, you are screwed. Dude, it is, I'm not joking, like pitch black. But here's the thing, like this is the rainy season, right? We have amazing weather, I would say like 9-10 months out of the year, and we have crazy Florida weather like 2 months out of the year. And this is part of those 2 months, man, August and September. Typically, I'm getting 2 showers a day in August and September, just because it is so damn humid. Every day you're praying for it to rain, and typically about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it does rain. It's just the way that it is. But I'll live with that, man. I was born in South Florida, but I was raised in the North. I was raised in Ohio, and I will take the heat and the humidity over the cold any day of the week. Tim says, nice getting a new rotisserie this week. That's awesome, man. All right, Stephen Durr. What's up, Stephen? Good to see you, man. Do you channel prospects often to alternative email sequences when they open, or if they actually respond? Yes, so great question. So I use QuickMail. Doesn't matter what platform that you use. The reason I say contextually that I use QuickMail is, number one, I know that if I don't say that, that's going to be a follow-up question, so we'll just get that out of the way. Number two, I say that because QuickMail has a feature when somebody responds to you or they book inside your calendar, that the follow-up attempts stop, right? So if I send email number one of a 4-part sequence, right, and they're set to be like email number one goes out, then 2 days later, email number two, 2 days later, 3, 2 days later, email number 4. After the first email, if somebody goes and books through my Calendly, whether I link directly to Calendly or I link to a page that I have that has Calendly embedded, and they actually book an appointment, it will pull them out of that sequence. And so they stop getting the message saying, hey, I sent you an email 2 days ago and you never responded. Hey, I sent you an email 6 days ago, right? So we don't want to look bad. A lot of basic tools don't do that. So your question is, do we send different follow-up sequence based upon what happens? And specifically, you said if they've opened an email or if they actually respond. So as soon as somebody responds, they get pulled out of that sequence, okay? So whether they respond and they say, go away, whether they respond and they say, yes, Joe, let's have a conversation. And a lot of people will say, like, yes, let's get on a call, even though there's a link to book an appointment right in the email. So if they say, yes, let's book, right? I have canned responses ready to go inside that are like templates right inside of Gmail just to shoot out, right? Quick responses, and I don't handle those, right? Full disclosure, I wrote them, I figured out all the potential options, and now I just have I call them an EA, not a VA, an EA, an executive assistant, not a virtual assistant. And all the difference is an executive is an executive, right? They're not $3 an hour. They're probably more like $6, $7, $8 an hour. They are, top graduates from some of the top 3, 4 business schools and colleges in the Philippines, for example. And I'm just getting much more higher vetted people, especially now with COVID and everything else happening in the world. The talent pool that's out there right now is absolutely, I'm gonna swear, absolutely fucking ridiculous. And the rates that you can get people for right now as well, absolutely ridiculous. Like, they have hit the floor. Everybody needs work right now in the entire world. So when somebody responds back, we have templates that handle every situation. And the way that I created those templates, right, is just like quite literally by responding to the emails myself, or when my EA, my executive assistant, not my VA, has a new response, right, or has a response from a prospect that doesn't meet one of the templates that we already have. I asked her to hold it and to not do anything until our daily huddle. We have a daily huddle at 8 a.m. Eastern every day. And then I will, with her, write a response that then she uses. Okay, she's getting really, really good at that now, though. And so usually what happens now is she's like, "Yep, no problem. We'll talk about it in the morning. Just wanted to give you a heads up." And when I talk to her at 8 a.m., she's like, "Oh, I already typed out this response. Is it good?" And usually it's like 1 or 2 tweaks, or it's perfect, and she gets it out. Then Steven, I also then take it to the next level. If that person doesn't show, I have a follow-up sequence getting them to book if they don't show, right? To rebook the appointment, okay? Then I have outcomes and sequences, again, inside my cold email platform for if they don't buy, right? I have a long-term follow-up sequence as well. And I also take anybody that goes through, let's say, my week-long prospecting sequence and doesn't bite. I have a long-term follow-up sequence that they go on as well. So hopefully, Stephen, that helps show you kind of the opportunity long-term. Let me know if you have any follow-ups with that. All right, Brian Saviano says, I'm asking, why don't you just include it as part of the package for personal injury attorneys to help maximize their returns? Great question. So we do include Google retargeting inside our initial offering, right, with that package, okay? So we offer, so when somebody goes through our audit funnel, the pitch that they get in terms of baseline pricing is typically about $1,000. Because PI is such a high-end niche, though, I definitely suggest charging more. You're leaving money on the table. Unless you're just getting in there, you're just getting started, then by all means, charge $1,000 a month minimum to get your foot in the door, build the expectations, get referrals from them, etc. Right? Turn them into a cornerstone customer. We do include Google retargeting inside of the primary package. And the reason is because we're already doing Google ads, right? We're doing Google search ads, what used to be called Google AdWords. And so it's very easy for us to add a very simple retargeting campaign that will work. And to your point, Brian, bring in some results. But what we don't include is Omni and the multi-channel retargeting, because it is very, very labor intensive. And I wouldn't be hitting my KPIs in terms of what I'm looking to make on every deal if I included that in my lowest price package. Hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense, man. Let me know if I missed anything or if you have to follow up. Tim says, do you have a logo and website links in cold emails? Great question. So Tim, if you got something, go for it, right? If you don't. Don't let it be don't let it be a reason why you don't start the cold email. If you feel like your website sucks, maybe you don't want to include it. I've helped people like quite literally just make over their LinkedIn and put it inside of a cold email instead. But at the end of the day, whether it's LinkedIn or your website, you just want something that shows that you're a real human being, right? And shows off that you're real, you're authentic, and you're not like some spammer with no name living in some other country, right? Like that's all. You want to bring some life to it, if you will. If you send your cold email and the from name, and this is a big tip as well, if your from name and your picture is something crazy made up or a business name and the picture doesn't exist, and somebody's using Gmail, like probably not even going to open it. I'm just going to swipe. If you got the mobile app for Gmail, you know what swipe this way means, right? It means I just delete the email. I won't even open it. So take a second and personalize it. I think, is it good to have a website there? Yeah, if you got one that you think represents you well, just make sure that you're represented well, period, in the email. I know some of us have crusty old websites that maybe don't represent us well. And guys, I'll admit, like, I built a 7-figure business with a crusty old website, right? It didn't represent me well, right? So in that example, I'd find a quick, easy way to represent myself well instead of my website, if I knew that my website and getting it presentable was going to hold up the process. Tim, does that make sense, man? Real quick, I'll look to the bottom of the chat. Just give me a yes or a 1 or something. Again, the goal of putting the website in there would just, again, to be represented well. What can make you look well? Include even if it's a 1-page landing page that you build with a free landing page builder or something, you put up a piece of content or a case study, or you just link to LinkedIn, that's fine. But I know from personal experience that agency websites suck. They suck to build, their time suck to build, and most of us have underperforming websites ourselves. If that's the case, you don't want to stick that in there because it's probably not going to represent yourself well. Cool, good stuff. All right, Tim says, yes, great, thank you. You're very welcome, man. Stephen Durr, follow-up. So they need to take an action of some sort. Simply opening an email won't trigger anything else. No, so the only other trigger, Stephen, is if somebody opens an email 2+ times for me, right, or 3+ times for me, then we actually reach out via the phone. We talked about that at the very beginning of the call, but there's nothing automated about it, right? But we get through the gatekeepers a lot, and it's a simple way to book more appointments. Beyond just doing cold email, right, in terms of leverage. Cold email, I believe in doing it the way that I teach, in a very leveraged, long-term follow-up, evergreen way. I think is the biggest thing that you can do to create leverage in your agency or as a marketer, so to speak, doing services for clients, because you build it, you tweak it, you then set it on autopilot and you can walk away and it can still get you results every single day, like booked appointments. You need to check in with it sometimes, yes. Could you outsource it to a VA or an EA, as I like to call them now? Yes. But it's very much a system that you don't have to run every day manually yourself, and that is leverage. So getting that outreach done and then multiple step outreach, not just one email, is your next step of leverage. The next thing that you can do after that, Steve, that I think gets the next leverage, so to speak, and is the next thing you should be focused on, is that 2+ open or 3+ open, following up with those over the phone, right? The step after that would be a long-term follow-up sequence, right? That drips on your prospects, and instead of every 2 to 3 days in your first sequence following up, maybe that follows up every 7 to 10 days, and then lengthens with time. So you could very quickly, maybe Stephen, in an hour or 2 session, you could write out your follow-up quite literally for the next 6 to 12 months with a prospect after they come off your first sequence if they don't reply. Next after that, right, is to focus on follow-up for appointments that don't hold, and by hold I mean that don't show up. And then anybody that doesn't buy, right, just goes on that long-term follow-up sequence. And those are the primary things, Stephen, in terms of initial leverage that you should be looking to build out. That's going to get you the most leverage with the least amount of work. Steve says, thanks, Joe. Makes complete sense. I came on a few minutes late. No worries, brother. I wanted to make sure you got it, man. Hopefully you got it from start to finish. Yeah, it is pouring. All right, great. So Tim says, when do you like to switch them to your main domain email for correspondence? So Tim knows, for those of you guys that don't really know what Tim is asking, Tim knows that I don't like sending him cold emails from my main domain. So if my main domain is that I'm sending cold emails from, for example, is invisibleppc.com, I'm not going to send out cold emails from that. Because if I go too hard, I go too fast, I make a bunch of people upset that I'm sending cold emails. If you follow our program, you follow how I do it, that shouldn't happen, right? But if you take the shotgun approach, you have the you have the chance, you have the risk of blacklisting that domain. Doesn't mean you can't ever get it back in terms of sending emails and them landing in the inbox, but it's hard, right? And so I don't like running the risk. For me, over time, if you guys have been watching me for a long time, you will see that I get less risky and less risky all the time. I'm looking for plays from a playbook that I can run in each company and everything that I'm doing, and I can run them over and over and over and over again. I don't like the big risks, right? I take them out. So for me, when I send cold email, if I'm going to use Invisible PPC as the example, the main website is at invisibleppc.com. I would then send out, for example, email from invisibleppc.net and invisibleppc.org as an example. Okay, when somebody went to go to invisibleppc.net, all that I would do is just redirect that domain, forward that domain to invisibleppc.com. Okay, so if somebody goes there, they're not like, who is this? They don't even have a website. Okay, but that gets rid of my inherent risk from the get-go. Okay, so now that you understand that, Tim is asking, when do you like to switch them from the cold email to the warm email domain? And I think that's a tricky one, man. We have the long-term follow-up sequence, right? What I like to do, I'm going to give away a little bit, but what I like to do after my initial follow-up sequence, my initial short-term, and after my immediate, let's say 30-day window is, this is working really, really well right now for us, is we're running webinars. Okay, we're creating webinars, we're running webinars, and from our cold email, we're following up with people and saying, hey, we're running a webinar this week talking about how we're running Google ads and how we're getting this result inside of this niche. Come join me and I'm gonna walk you guys through exactly how we're doing this in best practices, right? So when they register for that webinar, I'm then opting them into, and they're opting into my main list, so they'll be getting emails from the .com, for example. Tim, I hope that helps. One strategy there, one more little strategy right there that's really, really big. Think about the psychology of somebody that's going to join a webinar where I'm going to teach them how we're doing really well in a niche and how we're having success, right? It's going to be around some type of case study, right? So let's say that the niche was funeral homes and how we generated 3,000 leads for funeral homes in the last 30 days. We're going to show you our A to Z blueprint, right? So they see that message. They then sign up for the webinar. Did I just get them in a buying position? Did I just get them to raise their hand saying that they're interested in that marketing activity and that they need some help and they're interested in marketing and my training? Yes or no? Give me some feedback in the chat. Yes, right? So by them raising their hand, they're hot, right? There's an opportunity for us to work together. Don't wait for the pitch on your webinar to try to pitch a consultation or a strategy session. By all means, do that. But the thank you page of the webinar, right? They register, they're all excited. Man, this thing could be it. This could be the thing that finally helps my funeral home, right, get off the ground, right? If we just were doing an extra 20 grand a month, I could get out of the day-to-day operations of business, right? I could really step back and I could be the business owner instead of the operator, and you get them thinking, right? So on the thank you page, after they register, then you want to hit them with, great, congratulations, thanks for registering. By the way, I noticed that most people in this industry, in the funeral home industry, they love these trainings that we do. We'll make sure to give you a bunch of great content, but at the end of the day, what I found is that most funeral home owners and operators don't really care what the tactics are. They just want to make sure that they know what they are so that they can get them done and they can get the result. And that's really what they care about. So if you'd like to learn how we can help you get the same result that we've helped all these other people get, right? Schedule a strategy session down below, right? And embed your Calendly or put in a link to go to your calendar. Folks, get them right then and there when they're hot, right? When they're excited, because let me tell you a little secret. Most people don't show up to webinars, right? Most people don't. If 100 people register for a webinar, you've done a bang up job if 25% of them show. That means 75% of your opportunity is gone. They're already, see you later, right? They never even show, they'll never hear your pitch. So put that call to action, and I just gave you the script, I just ad-libbed it right in front of you, right? Put that on the thank you page for the webinar. Heck, put that, make that video, make it so that you can put it on the back of anything, right? So then you give away a free report, you give away a lead magnet, you give away anything, right? You do a webinar, and you can keep that same thank you page on the back, right? With that same video pitch and the same Calendly call to action. Folks, this will double, triple, or even quadruple the number of booked appointments that you guys are getting very, very quickly. Yes, great info. Thank you very much. You're very, very welcome. Let's see, Steven says, used to live in Lauderdale. Remember those August storm cells? Well, yikes, yeah. Nutso, nutso. Still pitch black. All right, so guys, it's, what time is it? It's 3:40. So we got about 20 minutes left. I got one more question in the chat, that's it. So I got booked for the hour to be here, right? I make sure that I'm here at least for the hour. You have a call right after this, but if you have a question, do yourself a favor, don't be shy. Ask it in the chat, right? Get my advice, get my coaching absolutely for free. All that you got to do is put yourself out there a little bit, all right? Plenty of people on the call that I haven't heard from. Brian says, this question is twofold. I noticed Google has a call tracking number option when you set up ads. One, do you use theirs, or do you use ACT or some type of call tracking service? I always back up Google's tracking with my own tracking. Always, always, always. I want all the leads coming through one platform that I'm giving the customer access to. Number two, does this impact their reviews from showing up? No, it doesn't impact their reviews from showing up. Hopefully that helps, Brian. Hope all is well, man. That's it. That's it. Last call for questions. I'm here to help. You got to raise your hand. You got to help yourself. You can ask the question. Let me know if you guys got any. Let me know. Let me know. All right, let's see. Austin, Brian, Carolyn, David, Frankie, George, Scott, Stephen. Last call, last call. Last call, last call, last call. Let's talk about wins real quick. If you've had a wins, if you've had a wins, if you've had a win, let's say in the last week, a new client results, share in the chat. This always gets me jazzed up. And as long as you guys share a win or two, I'll share a couple of wins too. Carolyn says, no questions. Thank you, Joe. Great to listen to your other questions and responses. Good, Carolyn. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Man, it's been too long. I feel like you've been at like every event that I've thrown and I've ran, and because of the whole COVID crazy situation, I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you. It's been way too long. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully you got some value. I hope I think last time we chatted, We're doing some business with Amir. I hope that's going well. Frankie Allen, good to see you, Frankie. Frankie, anything I can help you out with before we shut today down? All right, you guys want to hear some wins from me? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Want to hear some wins? Want to hear some wins? Yes, yes. All right, let's think. What's happened in the last week or so that's been a win? All right, so one of the things that we've been working on, for example, at Invisible PPC there, is we've been working on making sales outside of Invisible. And what I mean by that is selling direct to clients with Rob and with a couple of the team members at Invisible, selling direct to clients as an agency. And we don't talk about Invisible PPC. So one of the wins is over the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we've onboarded and sold and onboarded, I guess is the right order, 16 clients in one niche. 16. Want to know how? You guys want to know? Do you care? Should we end it right now? So we've been working on a model to do this. And essentially, we are playing with, testing, rolling out a resource partner type of pitch where we find people in markets who already have the clients that we want, right? People spending money, for example, with Google Ads. That's what Invisible's all about, right? Like if they're not spending money with Google Ads, we don't really give a shit. Why? Because we can't really help them. I mean, can we give them some advice? Yeah. And can we tell them that they should try Google Ads? Yes. But folks, the value that we can provide to somebody that's already spending money on Google Ads and has been for a long time, and we go in, we show our expertise and we show our value and we show how much money we can save and how that same spend can get them way more customers and way bigger return. The value to them is 5x, 10x, or even 20 times greater than to somebody that we have to pitch the idea to of doing Google Ads. Let that sink in. And the reason is because they don't know what's involved. They haven't been through that buyer's journey. They don't understand that in some verticals, it can cost $200 for just a freaking click, not even a lead. Right? They've never been through all of the management of those projects. They've never dealt with a Google Slack. They've never dealt with Google updates, right? They've never dealt with or seen before and afters from landing page testing and what it can do. Because of that, give me a one if you guys understand that the value is completely different from somebody that's brand new versus somebody that is established and has been with Google Ads. Sell to the right people. Do yourself a favor. It's a lot easier. People will value you. They'll appreciate you, right? And your worth is crazy. So with this new model, we're finding people that would value us, that can refer us business. We call this a resource partner. I know, groundbreaking, right? The key is to find people that are in the industry that have a list of the business owners that you want to go after. And specifically, the niche within the niche that we've carved out is trainers and or people that we don't compete with that run events. So we're talking about coaches, we're talking about trainers in an industry, in the industry that you're in or that you want to target, that teach people anything, practice management, how to run their business, operations, how to increase their average customer value, any of those people. And there are a metric ton of these people in the industry. Find them, narrow it down then to people that run an event for their members, their customers, their prospects once a quarter. It used to be in person, they run all these events, a lot of them. Some of them have always been virtual. Find them. They need you. Why? Because they just got thrown a curveball with COVID. The customers just got thrown a curveball. They got to take their in-person events, they got to now make them virtual. They're all flustered. They don't know how to do it. And they're always looking for speakers, and speakers that don't compete. Are you guys going to compete with an industry coach? Yes or no? No. Okay. So this is exactly what we did. And we got on, we made a deal with a guy. We spoke at his online event, and we made it interesting for him, right? We worked up a referral scheme. It sounds like a bad thing, but when they refer us business, he gets a win out of it, right? And it's not a competitive thing. It's not like we're going after the same customers trying to sell them the same thing. If anything, this helps him and this makes him look good to his customers, right? Because now he can help them get more leads. He wants their success because then they become his testimonials and his case studies, and they'll spend more with him if they can get their marketing wrapped up and do a good job in the market. So this is who we're looking for. This is who we're targeting. And so fast forward, we did a presentation. If you guys have been following what Invisible is doing with Smart Pages and the launches that we're doing and how we're pitching our services, if you guys have seen like the dental masterclass, if you guys have seen the personal injury masterclass, and how we do those presentations and kind of the data-backed approach, that's what we did. Okay, 16 clients from one of those trainings. 16. So something to think about for you guys. Definitely a strategy everybody on this training could implement. It's very, very timely right now, again, with what's happening with the world. All these physical events turning virtual, organizers scrambling, trying to figure out what to do, how they can best serve their audience, and how is getting all of their audience way more customers at a fraction of the cost not like the best thing that they can do for their customers, especially with what's happening right now with COVID. So you can provide lots of value, show up looking like a freaking rock star, right? And then drop the mic with 16 closes from one 40, 45-minute presentation. Think about what that's worth to you, right? For us, 32 grand is what that deal was worth a month. Multiply that out. That's well over $250,000 for the year, just for the year, with one 45-minute presentation. So I hope you guys like this. This is a strategy that we're going to continue to play with internally and test. We're always looking for ways that we can scale up and down rapidly. We have challenges, just like any other business has challenges. We take on lots of customers from you guys, and we have to be able to scale up and down quickly with human resources, right? Because we're a white label outsourced agency. So it's a completely different ballgame, and we needed a mechanism to be able to scale very, very fast. So if we got to hire internally, 2 more account directors and 2 more account managers, I want to make sure we're keeping them busy, right? We need to keep them at capacity, or I'm paying them money and not taking home the profit because I have them. And so if that's the case, I need to onboard customers fast, right? And if we're at capacity, or you guys are bringing on a lot of customers, I got to be able to slow down as well. So this is a strategy we're using internally right now that I think you guys could do very, very well with. So I hope you guys have a freaking fantastic week. I hope you guys enjoyed this AMA. We got all kinds of cool stuff coming up for you guys. I got to keep my mouth shut for the moment, but just keep watching. We got a crazy announcement coming up in September. I got a personal project that I've been working on for about 12 months, a digital triggers project, finally. Been working on for about 12 months that will roll out probably last quarter of this year. I think that it's going to be game changing. I'm super excited. Life is crazy, right? Understand that life is what you make it right now. The world is a crazy place. There's so much disruption. I get that it's hard to stay focused. It's been very hard for me to stay focused. But life is what you make it. You got to get yourself in momentum and you got to keep it there. And the way that you're going to do that is by dropping your distractions and dropping the noise, right? Drop the noise, drop the distractions, clear out your inbox, unsubscribe from those email lists, come up with a plan, and start making traction in those plans. And I promise you, if you're feeling anxiety and crazy about what's happening in the world right now, it'll make all the difference in the world. I know it has for me. Look out for my emails too. Every Sunday, I'm dropping content for you guys, kind of recapping what I'm thinking about, where my mind's at, what I'm doing to keep myself busy outside of work. And then we're obviously dropping content for you guys every single freaking week. Every week with the podcast, no pitches, all content, just good shit. Me picking really, really smart entrepreneurs' brains, and it's all free for you guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying it, taking advantage of it. Have an awesome, awesome week, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next AMA. Sayonara.